Well, now I have the big pleasure to welcome Nick Peachey from the UK, who is going to talk to us about AI tools for language teachers. We are honored to have you with us, Nick. Thank you for coming. Let me introduce you briefly. I know you've done so much in your career, but just a few words. Nick is the Director of Pedagogy at Peachey Publications, and I'm going to paste your link here, focusing on thinking outside the course book. We needed something like that, really. Which is an independent digital publishing company that specializes in the design of digital learning materials. Nick has been involved in education since 1990 and has more than 25 years of experience working specifically with educational technology, online and blended learning environments for English language teaching. Nick has worked all over the world, training teachers, developing innovative and creative products, and is a two-time British Council Innovations Award winner. You can find his published books and materials here. And welcome, Nick. It's our pleasure.
Hi. Good morning, afternoon, good evening. Depending on where you are. I don't know where people are. Can you just type in quickly where you are, the people who are here, and I'll just find my presentation. Okay, share sound. Okay. Okay, just rearrange my screen a little bit. Oh, that looks okay. Open up the chat again. Great, good. Oh, wow, it's a really wide spread, isn't it? From different sides of the planet. I can see Chris Fry's here again. I'm sure he was in a presentation I did last night, which is actually the same presentation. Okay, thanks for coming along and sparing your Saturday afternoon. This session is going to be an AI tools fest in itself. I'll be showing you lots of different tools and collections of tools and things like that. So I hope you're ready and prepared. Don't worry too much about making notes or making notes of URLs or anything like that. At the end of the presentation, I'll give you a link to the presentation itself, and it's all interactive, so you can get all the URLs and go back through it and pick up the different websites and discussions from there. Okay. I've had an introduction, so I won't dwell too much on this. There's a picture of me. That's what I look like in color. There are my two innovations awards, one 2012 for a course on blended learning and 2016 for a book I wrote on digital video. And my latest book and course, ChatGPT in Language Classroom. And I've also created a course on AI tools for English Language Classroom. If you enjoyed the talk and you want to find out more about me and the kind of things I do, you can click on any of these icons that are along the bottom here, and you can sort of find out more about my social media and the kinds of things I'm sharing. Okay, Chris, have a nice walk. Before I get into sort of presenting and showing the things that I'd like to go through, I'd just like to start by finding out, what kind of tools you're using, and this is always handy for me because I might discover some new ones as well. So there's a QR code on the screen there, and if you scan it with your phone, you'll get a little questionnaire, and just sort of type in the tools that you use or have been using already, and then we'll look at them and be able to share them together. Okay, I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that, and then we'll have a look at what people are using. Okay, hopefully you're good with your QR codes, and we'll see what's coming through. Just two so far. ChatGPT with voice control. ChatGPT Filicky, I haven't heard of that one, in video and perchance. Oh, I'll check those ones out as those ones are new to me. Let's refresh in case there's something new coming through. Sometimes it takes a little while for people's answers to come through. Oh, Magic School, yes. Twee in video, ChatGPT, Leonardi, text audio, T4. I haven't heard of T4 either. Unless it's ChatGPT4. Couple more Poe. Yeah, Poe. I've heard a lot about Poe, and yet I never get round to try giving it a try. Modal pattern. Okay, great, good. Okay, so some of those we'll be looking at, and some of them there should be some new ones. Just a little bit more about what I do is that, I've been a bit tool obsessed for quite some time now, and I collect together tools. I actually started a site. I think it was, when would it be? 2010, 14 years ago now, I started this site, which is Tools for Teachers and Learners. Originally, I started the site to collect together tools for my students who at that time were doing a master's in TESOL at University of Westminster, where I was teaching the MA TESOL, the media, digital media kind of part of it. And I started collecting tools together for them, and I collected them all on this website, and then more and more people started to follow the website, and I got hooked on collecting all the different tools. And so anything useful that I find, I post to here. I'll actually post the link to that for you if you want. It's a Scoop.it site. So I've got about 14 years worth of collections there. The other thing that I do quite a lot now is that I also use Telegram, and I have a channel on Telegram where I share the same or similar tools. So if you're interested in keeping up with tools, there's a Telegram channel here as well. Telegram is a free messaging app for the mobile phone, but it's a really powerful tool for building networks and communities as well. So I've been using that as well. So some part of my day every day is taken up with looking at different tools and trying to decide whether they're any good, and trying to evaluate them, and trying to do it quite quickly as well, because I don't really have much time for these as I do them for free. And just to give you an example of the challenge, these are some of the things. Here are 8 of the tools that I found that I like within the last week. To pull out these 8 that I like, I've probably looked at 20 or 30 and scanned over them. And these aren't the ones that I'm going to focus on in this session, so you'll have to come back and check them out yourself later. But I do think they are quite useful. This one's one for grading essays. There's one for helping you memorize text. There's one that's an AI game where you try and describe pictures and try and guess what the description of the pictures is. There's one for producing songs, not just music, but songs with lyrics as well by AI. So if you want to write songs based around a particular theme for your students, you can do that now, or get AI to do it. There's one that creates interactive stories, one that builds lessons, one that, what does this one do? Builds presentations, and one for generating art. And all of these things I sort of picked out within the last kind of week to 10 days that have come through my different kind of social media feeds. So the question is, how do I choose them? What are my criteria, and what's going through my mind when I'm checking these out? I'm going to put that as a question for you. What do you think my criteria are? So anything you can think that's an important criteria for evaluating an AI tool, type it into the chat. I'll give you a couple of minutes and we'll see what we get. Okay, that's great. A few things coming through, yeah, and certainly the same sort of things that I have on my criteria. Um, Here's my list of the things that I look for. Is it the first one, is it cost effective? And I'm saying cost effective rather than free. I know teachers like to get things that are free, but there are problems with getting things that are free. If they're free, they might be covered in advertising. The company may be making money different away through your data, or if they're free, they might just disappear within a few months because producing tools and running an AI or a tech company is expensive. So if they're not making money somehow, then it's likely that they're not going to develop and they're not going to be around a long time. Does it save me time is a real big one. Does it address a real need or a real problem that I have with my students? Can it adapt to the individual needs of students? And that involves things like neurodiversity and inclusivity and those kinds of things. Is it culturally sensitive? Is it engaging for students to use? This one about number 6 about being engaging for students to use is really one of the most important things. If students aren't engaged, however good the tool is, whatever the tool is, however free it is, even if they pay you to use it, it's not going to really do much for the students. I like to look for things that can support autonomous learning as well, whether it's relevant to life situations. Privacy and security, yes, are important. And then number 10, one that came through a lot, which is sort of, is it easy to use? Because it needs to be, especially for students or for teachers, it needs to be easy to use. If it's going to take a long time to train someone to use it, then they're probably not going to use it very much. But these are some of the various things that I kind of look for. 15 as well. A big one is, does it align with your pedagogical beliefs and aims? Is very important as well. Although, often you might discover that a tool offers you a new opportunity to create a new aim. So it isn't, I think, always just a matter of that. So those are some examples of the things that I think about. Okay, so the rest of this presentation, I want to just to show you in a little bit more depth some of the things that I found and looked at, and some of the ones that I particularly like. The first one is Twee. I don't know if I need to spend very much time on this. It seems that most people have had a good look at it, and it's becoming very popular. And it is a great tool for creating materials and for our students, and it's very easy to do, very versatile. If I just log in, let's go back a bit. So there are all these different activity types that we can create, reading bits and pieces, and we just click on these.
Sorry to interrupt. We had a tweet demo earlier by Jignesh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I won't go into it in any depth. I'll just sort of scan over it really, in case anybody wasn't here. So there are all different sorts of activities here. So you can collect them and select them, and then it accumulates them here for you. And that's a really nice way of creating sort of specific materials. One of my favorites is this 4 opinions one, which gives you 4 opinions from on any subject you like. And then you can sort of build your materials around it just by clicking them. So that's kind of a nice one for creating materials. One of my other favorites is Gamma. So I know somebody mentioned this, and this is for creating presentations, and it can create them almost instantly. So if we look at that, these are some of the presentations that I created. This was one on 10 tips on changing mindset. And it looks a little bit like PowerPoint. You can see that there are slides down the left-hand side, which you can click on. And then you can click on different elements of them to edit them. And you can add in videos, or you can add in interactive objects to them. You can add in different kinds of forms and buttons and graphs and charts, just drag them on, or you can click to edit what's there. And it produces things that are presentations that are very nice. They're very information rich, and it's very quick and easy to create one. If I just do a quick demo, I want to auto-generate one with AI. I'm going to put in the subject sustainable development goal number 6, and then so that's what I want my presentation to be about. I click generate to get an outline, and it gives me an outline of what each of the slides will be. I can rearrange these if I want to, just by dragging and dropping them, or I can delete any ones that I don't think are appropriate. And I just click on continue. It gives me a choice of different styles. I'll choose that style. Then I click on generate. And as soon as I click on generate, it will start to write the presentation for me and add images to it. As you can see, it's literally doing it as we watch. And very quickly as well. So there we go. I've got my 7, 8, 9 slides of my presentation on sustainable development goal number 6, which is to do with water and access to clean water. It's put in the images, but I can change these if I want to. I can refocus them on a different part of the image if I want to. So I can play with all those designs. It says there by Nick Peachey, although I feel that's not really fair to do that. And so there we are. We've got a presentation that we can then just go into presentation mode. If I click on present, there it is. There's my presentation, and I can just scroll through it. I can download this as well if I want to. I can share a link to it if I want to, or I could embed it in some materials if I want to as well. But that's a really nice way to create sort of presentations very quickly on any sort of subject. If you're teaching something like business English and you don't know much about business, it's a great way to produce presentations or content for your students. I'll just grab the link to it and then I can share it with you. Let's go to share, copy link. I'll put it into chat so you can see it. There it is. And there you have a kind of digital presentation. And as I said, you can edit anything you want to and add your notes if you want to edit the text. Of course, the big point about this one is that, I haven't been through and read it and checked that the information is correct. And of course, that's something you have to do. And again, if there are different ways we can use this, we could get students to create their own presentations using Gamma and give a presentation in class, or we could get them to create a presentation and then fact check it to make sure all the information in it is correct and try and get sources from it. Personally, for me, it's not actually the kind of presentation I would stand up and give, because for me, there's too much text on it. And it sort of seems more like a kind of nicely designed reading activity for me. So if it was up to me, I'd kind of embed it into some materials and use it as a reading activity or something like that, because I think that it works very nicely that way, and it's quite attractive in that. And so that's kind of Gamma, and that's a really nice way of creating materials. In terms of price, when you sign up for Gamma, it is free, and you get 400 credits when you sign up. And 400 credits is enough to create 10 presentations with. but you can also get extra credits for free. And you do this by actually sharing. There's a little pop-up window. I don't know if you can see it there, but you get credits by sharing a link or referring students or friends or something like that. So you can get your own customized link. I'm just putting my referral link in here. It looks a bit like that. And then anyone who signs up with that link will get an extra 200 credits for themselves, and you get an extra 200 credits for each person that signs up. So in that way, you can sort of build up quite a few credits and never actually have to pay. I've been sharing it a lot through social media, and I'm up to about 11, nearly 12,000 credits now. So I don't think I'll have to pay anything for it in the near future. But it's there is a very easy tool to use, quickly creating presentations and quickly creating materials that we can use for our students. And again, we can, because it's free and because there is free credit with it, we can get our students to use it to create presentations as well. It doesn't just have to be a tool that teachers use. The next one I'd like to share is something called audio. And this, again, is a really useful tool, especially if you want to create audio for your students to listen to. And it's very easy to create. You just type the script that you want, or you can get ChatGPT to create a script if you want to. Put the script in and then select voices to add to the script. I'll show you a little example. There's a little example that you can listen to here. This was just a short story that I created, which is about a dog and a rooster. It's based on a fable or something like that. And this should give you an example of the quality. So have a quick listen to a little bit of this.
Brought to you by audio.ai. The Dog and the Rooster. Once upon a time, there was a dog and a rooster who both lived on a farm together. They were great friends and enjoyed their life on the farm, but they often looked along the road and wondered what was over the hill. One day the rooster said to the dog, "Perhaps we should go down the road together and see what adventures we find." The dog agreed, and the next morning they left before the farmer woke. They traveled all day, but they had no adventures. When night came, they looked for somewhere to sleep.
Okay, I don't know what you think of that, but it isn't an amazing, expressive performance, but it does sound like a real person, and it sounds better than some of the, or at least as good as some of the audio that I've heard in professionally made course books. So it is a kind of really nice, cheap, and easy way of creating audio. In terms of what you can create 15 minutes of audio using it for free. And then if you want to create more, then you have to pay. But it is very cheap. It's something like $3 for an hour's worth of audio. And you can produce an awful lot of audio with an hour for $3 then. I'll just give you a quick look at how it works. This is what it looks like when you go to the site. You sign it. I'm signing in with Google. It works better on Google Chrome actually, but if I'll show you one example of an audio that I've made, and you can see that there are the different parts of the text here, and each one of them you can choose the voice to put for each part of text. You can add extra voices. As you can see, it has a wide variety of voices, and some of them people we know. And this kind of brings up a bit of a dodgy ethical issue, I think. If you're creating audios that are kind of like a discussion between Andrew Tate and Donald Trump or something like that, you need to be aware that you're putting words into the mouths of these people, which I think is probably not right, even though those aren't my favorite people by a long stretch of the information. By a long stretch of the imagination, but you can just choose ordinary people and ordinary voices and add to them, add those instead, which I think is much better to do. And let's just go back. And You can just change the voice. Once you've added a few voices to it, you can change the voice by just clicking on the colors there. The voices will be color coded. And then when you're ready, you go down to the bottom right hand here, and you can auto-generate the audio. You can download the audio. You can change speakers. You can upload an audio file to use as well. But so very easy to use and very quick and a cheap way of creating audio and listening activities. And again, because it's free, it has the potential for students to use it themselves if they want to get model sentences for pronunciation or something like that. Particularly if they're working on a British or an American accent and they want to pick out those kinds of accents from the different speakers, that can be really handy as well. But that's a great way to produce kind of free audio, or at least very cheap audio. My next one is a tool called Lumen 5, which has been knocking around for quite a long time, actually, and I've been using it a few years. And it's a great way of creating instructional video. I'll show you an example here. This is something that I created very quickly. It's tips, 10 top tips on how to stop students using AI to cheat. And what I did is I created a script for it by going to ChatGPT and asking for some advice. And I got the 10 tips. I copied and pasted them into Lumen 5, and then it generated the different scenes of the video for me. And this is kind of what it looks like. I'll play a little bit of this one for you. So as you see, it's quite simple. It's got some background music. It's got the text with the tips in, and it's given it some images for context. So and again, I can download that and I can embed it into a course or something like that, and it spices up my courses a little bit. Just in terms of showing you just how easy it is to create these. Here's an example. This one's on recognizing and managing our emotions. This is something that I created for a cell course that I was writing. And what it does when you add the text, it breaks it down into scenes. So each of these that you're seeing now, it looks a bit like a PowerPoint presentation, but each of these is an animated scene. And you can see it's got the length of time, and you can speed them up and slow them down. You can preview watch it. You can change the design or shuffle the colors. I'm shuffling the colors with that one to try out different effects. If I go to change the design, it gives me some different sort of designs to choose from. I'll go for that one instead, and it changes the design. And I can just click on it here and edit the text content if I want to as well. I don't like that a step-by-step guide bit, so I'm going to get rid of that. So, all very easy to edit and very easy to create. And one of the other things that you can do, if you see this green button here where it says add new scene, you can either add another scene or you can create a voiceover. You can add a voiceover to it or create a talking head. So you can have a kind of talking head video that explains things as you go through it as well. So quite a nice way to kind of develop instructional video. Actually, I think I'd prefer a voiceover to the kind of music, and then so the voiceover could read through it for the student. And when you're ready, you just click on the publish button up the top here, and it will publish it. You can download it as an MP4 as well. And again, that's That's free to use. You can have unlimited use of it for free. It does carry the Lumen 5 watermark though, and there's a maximum to the video resolution. So the videos are a maximum of 720 pixels per square inch, which isn't super, but you know, for most instructional video or most online courses, it's fine. It's easily enough. And you can create up to 5 videos a month on the free plan. So well worth checking out if you want to sort of add some instructional videos to your courses and enhance your teaching a little bit. If you have a blog, actually, you can also add your blog address to Lumen 5, and then whenever you write something on your blog, it will auto generate a video based around your blog text. And that's another useful way of creating videos. If you've got an article that you want students to read and you've got the URL for it that's been published online, you can put it into Lumen 5 and it will generate a video about that as well. So it's a nice way of creating kind of summaries of articles your students may have read too. Next tool. Oh, there's quite a few people showing up now. The next tool is something called DIFID, which is designed for creating differentiated learning. It's a little bit like TWE, only it does everything for you and it does it very quickly and produces the materials very well. You have 3 choices along the top here. You can put in a text that you've already have and generate a lesson around it. It could be a PDF or you could copy and paste it in. You can put in the link to a video if you want to, a YouTube video, and it will generate materials around it. Or you can just type in a topic and it will automatically generate materials based around that. It could be something fictional or non-fictional. So if you could do creative writing, I'm going to do Sustainable Development Goal number 6 to follow up on my Gamma presentation. I can select the grade. So it isn't specifically designed for language teaching, but it is designed for K-12. I'll go for 11th grade. You can select different languages if you want to. There are a whole bunch of different languages that it also works in, but I'll stick with it. English. You have got standards there if you want to align it to different standards. So there is an ELA standard and English language arts. And then you just click on generate resources and you just wait a few minutes, probably not longer than I did with Gamma, and it produces a whole lesson for you with all the different materials. We'll give it a minute while I have some water. And there you have the materials. So it's got a choice of some images at the beginning. There's some different images based around the topic. There's a passage there. There's a summary activity, keywords, multiple choice questions, short answer questions, open-ended questions. And you can edit all of this and build on it if you want to. And then when you're ready, you just click on Get Students Activities. And that part takes a few minutes longer. So I'll show you something that I've already done. What it does, it gives you the choice of exporting them to different places. And you can export them into Google Docs, which is very nice. And it creates this kind of worksheet now. So you can see that I've got a worksheet that it's created. This one was about AI, and it's got it's nicely formatted, so there are task spaces in it. It's got another page on key vocabulary, 3 things you learnt, drawings and pictures. There's a text, choices, and so it gives you this sort of very nicely formatted kind of materials, worksheet materials that students can work through. They've got reflection and discussion tasks as well. I'll share a link to that with you so you can have a better look at some point if you want to. But that's a really quick way of producing classroom materials on almost any subject. And of course, as with ChatGPT, as with Gamma, you still need to go through and check those things out and make sure that it is factually correct if you're doing something that's non-fiction, of course. But I think that's a great way of creating materials if you're really pushed for time. And again, you know, we could get students to use it. We could get them to plan a lesson, and they could develop the materials and teach each other about, instead of you doing the teaching. You know, it's free to use. There's at the moment I can't see any charges for anything on DFID, and so you know we can get our students using it and creating materials that they can use to teach each other, which would be really nice, because as we all know, the best way to learn something actually, I think, is to teach it. How am I doing for time? I'm not too bad. Okay, so those are some of the examples of things that I like, that I found that I really like for teachers. If I just recap, there's DFID there, which designs theme-based materials. There's Lumen 5 for creating instructional video, audio for creating audio files, Gamma for presentations, and of course TWI for developing lesson materials. So have a quick think about those. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to quick think and recap about them, and just sort of type into chat the one that you think you're most likely to use and why. Which one would you be most likely to use and why? Yeah, DFID seems to be very popular, and it is, you know, it does look like a really awesome tool for creating materials. Okay, just want to have a look at a few student-facing materials as well, and see what you think of these. There are lots of things like this knocking about where students can actually get some practice and find someone to practice their English with and chat with. And this is one example that I kind of like. I'd like to see what you think of it. And I kind of like it because it has this sort of face of this person here, and she's sort of a bit animated, and she's moving. You can, this is one choice. She's the friendly companion. You can choose other avatars. So if you click on choose your avatar, there's someone who can help you with creativity, someone who's a motivational coach, there's a personal assistant, a travel advisor, and there's even a mystical guide. So this one is the mystical guide that you can chat with. And when you actually chat with them, I'm not sure if this is going to work because I've got my headset plugged into Zoom, but I'll try and demo it. You can click on here to actually speak. So if I click on the speak button, let's see if it will, yeah, it wants to access my microphone. I click on allow there. Hi Gaia, how are you? How do you think you can help me this evening? Okay, it's almost got that right. So what it does is it uses speech to text and then converts it so students can edit see what it's hearing and edit that. And then they click it in, and then she'll reply.
I am here to offer you guidance, support, and wisdom as you explore your spiritual journey. How can I assist you today?
So, and then when she speaks, of course, it looks like her lips are moving and things like that. So she's going to help me on my spiritual journey. So I'll ask her. Can I be more? Oh, I should have used the audio, really, shouldn't I, instead of typing it in? I'm very text-based.
You can be more spiritual by practicing mindfulness, connecting with nature, exploring your inner self through meditation, and cultivating a sense of gratitude and compassion in your daily life.
Sounds great. All good advice. Okay, so that's the first one. That's an example of someone that students can actually chat with and practice their language with. And of course, it helps to have the text backing it up as well. So that, if there are words they're not too sure about, they can check them and go to a dictionary, and they can read through them as well. So what do you think of that? Would you use that with your students? Give me a yes or a no. Do you think you would use that with could use that with your students, or would you recommend it your students use it? Yeah, there is a mic icon next to the typing gap, and but and I can use it. I'll have another try at using it, but it's it's switched itself on, but it's Zoom is interfering with it, I think, at the moment. What should I do to cultivate a sense of gratitude in my life? Yeah, it hasn't really identified it very well at all, that one. It does save the conversation log. Yeah, there's a question there about save, and you can actually go back to your previous conversations. You can see I've got 3 out of my 6 left, but you do get more each month, so you can go back and revisit them. But it's a nice bit of fun for students, and they can actually practice speaking and practice listening as well, which is kind of nice. I'm not sure if they can share the conversation with their instructor, although they could copy and paste it, I guess. So that's something nice for speaking and listening. This is a nice tool for developing reading skills, and it's kind of one of those Dungeons and Dragons games, but students create their own Dungeons and Dragons game. So no, it's not being recorded, the audio. So there are some games already which they can join in and be part of, or they can create their own game and play it either alone or together with a friend. They can create a multiplayer game, or they can create one on their own. So if I just quickly create one, so I get the choice of the type of story I want, whether it's cyberpunk, fantasy, mystery. I'll try cyberpunk, as I'm not really sure what that is. And then I select a character that I want to be. I'll be a cyborg, I think. So my character's name is Nick. And what it does is it starts to produce a story, and it makes me part of the story. And then I can interact with the story and take a turn, a bit like those sort of traditional kind of Dungeons and Dragons games. So the first part is, I'll try and make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay. So it's saying you are Nick, a cyborg living in a futuristic city. You have a bionic arm and a hollow band. You're walking down a dark city street while neon lights flash brightly above you. You pass an alley. There's a shadowy figure huddled in the corner. They're wearing a tattered coat and hood. So it's giving me a description there. As you approach, the figure looks up, revealing a pair of piercing blue eyes. They seem startled at your presence, but quickly compose themselves. Can I help you? So then I get to take my turn and I decide, and then I get a choice of things. I can do something, so I can take an action. I can say something. I can just write the next part of the story, or I can describe what I see. I haven't tried this C one yet, but I think I'll leave that for another time. So I'll go for say. So I'll say, yes, I'm lost. And I'll add that in. And then it writes the next part of the story. The figure scrutinizes you for a moment, their eyes scanning your bionic arm and hollow band. Lost, huh? This city can be a bit overwhelming for newcomers. They push their hood back, revealing short, spiky black hair. I'm Ada, nice to meet you. So now I can take a turn. What shall I do? Well, I'll be cowardly. Come on. I'm going to click on do. I run away. So okay, so now it writes the next part of the story. You run away. Ada's eyes widen in surprise. You turn quickly, walk away. She calls after you. Hey, wait, I was just trying to help you. Okay, and so the story continues. If you don't like the part of the story, you can get it to retry, or you can erase a part, or you can just click and get it to auto continue and put a bit more of the story in. But it's a kind of nice way, to sort of interactive way to get students reading. You know, getting students to do extensive reading can be very difficult, you know, and a lot of students aren't particularly motivated to do extensive reading, but this is something that can make them part of it and interacting with it, and which can make it more interesting. And again, they can do it as a multiplayer. There's a multiplayer option, so they can do it in pairs with a partner, or in groups, and they can share them, or they can go and look at the stories that other people have done. So they have some sort of agency in creating the story as well. Okay, so what do you think about that one? Would you try it? Would you try it with your students? Question from Josh there. No, it's not reflective in that way. You can't ask it about the language in the story. You can only be part of the story. So it's something that that they can create, and once they've created the story, they'd have to look at language afterwards if they wanted to focus on it. One of the big issues with it, I guess, is level, and and sort of the age group of your students as well. So you have to think about whether it would be motivating for them or whether it would be too difficult. But it's a nice approach to get students writing in reading in a very kind of original and interactive way. I'm running out of time now, so the last thing I'm going to show you before I do some questions and share some stuff is this. This is something that I've looked at just recently, and this is more of an AI tool that attempts to teach students and really teach them some language, and it's called Small Talk to Me, and you can actually come in here and study specific things. They have an IELTS section, so if students want to develop their IELTS, they can try and develop IELTS speaking or IELTS writing, or there are kind of courses on job interviews. There's a general speaking course here. They can try and sort of boost their skills. Let's have a look at we'll have a look at the job simulator. I did try this once before. So it's starting by asking me a question and I record my answer. So it says start record. I'll allow the microphone. Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a language teacher and materials designer, and I'm very interested in using technology. Click on next. At present, I'm the head of learning for an educational publisher, and I'm responsible for developing the content. Well, you know, it doesn't really pay as much as I'd like, and I have big ambitions to earn lots more money. Once I was told that I'm very obnoxious and that I don't like getting feedback, and I reacted very badly and got very angry. Really, it's just about the money for me. I don't really have any weaknesses. I'm good at everything. Oh, my salary expectations. Well, I'm looking for something six-figure. Oh, now it's my turn to ask the questions. I haven't really got any questions. I think that's about all. I mean, how soon do you want me to start? Okay, so having done my interview, it will now analyze that and it will give me some feedback. It measures my fluency and, you know, the kind of vocabulary that I'm using, and gives me some levels of feedback. Let's just give it a little bit of time to do that, and then we'll come back and have a look at what it's done for me. It does also record my answers as well, so I can listen back to my answers too. Okay, so it's generating my results. While it's doing that, I'll move my presentation on a bit, because that's about all I have time for in terms of sharing tools. If you want to find out more, if you're interested in studying, I've written a couple of courses. There's one on ChatGPT here, which has been very popular. Sorry, one on ChatGPT this side that's been very popular and has a book to go with it. And there's one on AI tools. So if you want to sort of learn more, then by all means sign up for those. Also, I've developed something that I call the Digital Toolbox app, which is an app which I keep updating and adding new tools to and background reading. So if you're interested in that, you can scan the QR code. It's usually $10, but if you use this coupon code when you buy it, you can get it for half price, for $5. And it's something that you can put onto your laptop or on your mobile app, as well as on your mobile phone, and use it whenever you need to. Okay, before I go to any questions, I'll have a look at my feedback. So this is the kind of feedback that it's giving me. It's putting me at B2+, which is kind of reassuring, and telling me that I'm upper intermediate, so at least I'm not a beginner. Confidence, it says a native would understand 100% of my speech, so that's reassuring too. It's amazing how many sentences are grammatically correct. It's giving me some things to improve there. You made very few grammatical errors, used 5 advanced grammar constructions, and then I can click on pronunciation and fluency, and it tells me a little bit about my speaking rate and things like that. So that's sort of an interesting look at you know, at what a site can do to help our students work independently and autonomously to improve their language skills. It's quite a new one, so I don't know that much about it, and I've only tried it a few times. Oh, and it's got a share button there, so I can share a link to it. So presumably, if I've got a teacher as well, I can copy the link and I can put it in and share it with them, and they can see the report and see what I've been doing. Okay, so as I said, I've run out of time, so that's all from me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, there's the QR code. You can access the whole of the presentation through the QR code, and all of the links to the different tools and the various things that are included in that. So do get the code. I'll also copy and paste the presentation link into chat if you want it. There's the is it pasting? Oh, yeah, it's there. The presentation link is there now in the chat. So if you want to access it that way, or you can use the QR code, then by all means do. And oh, go back through and have a look at some of those things. Okay, thanks very much for listening. And if there are no questions, then I guess we can move on to the next presenter. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nick. This has been very genuine, and you're full of ideas always. And I'm sure a lot of people have been inspired today. So we're definitely going to use at least 2 of these. Thank
Great,
you very
good.
much. Thanks
Thanks
a
very
lot.
much. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome. And let me stop the recording.